AI, artificial intelligence, it's here and it's here to stay. So you better know the ins and outs of this because it's going to affect your future whether you know it or not. Recently in November, I don't know if you're aware of it, but ChatGPT came out. What is ChatGPT? It's a large language model that understands and responds to questions and topics that you ask it, almost like Google, but it's freakishly better because all you got to do is ask it a question and it gives you the answer rather than asking Google a question and it providing a whole bunch of links where you have to source your own answer. Now, I believe it's exceptional. I think it's going to create a lot of opportunities, but I also know that there's risks tied to it. And not many people are looking into what are the risks of artificial intelligence. We all have seen movies of robots coming over and taking over. Well, it's very similar to that. We're not there in iRobot levels where they're taking the world, but these models learn really fast from their own mistakes. They're trained to learn from their own mistakes. They generate human-like text and make it suitable for tasks such as content creation and conversation simulation. So the new things, the big things that are coming in the near future is automated chat boxes. Amazon's already working on one. Facebook's already working on one. So instead of hiring people to answer messages from clients or from people inquiring about your business, it's going to be an AI. So think about the job placements there. That's one off the bat. And I also do believe that you're seeing it right now, content creation. Content creation is going to become extremely easy to access. You're going to be able to post Grant Cardone-like stories, Tony Robbins-like stories, which they're paying $30,000, $40,000 a month to get that done for almost 90% of the cost off. Talking about a couple $100 to get those videos done now. And it's happening now. There's various websites that you could go into and start playing around with, and it's not that difficult. So there's a lot of risks, but a lot of benefits to it, right? It can help business owners save money, but it's also going to cause some sort of job replacements for a lot of people. So here are 7 risks that I've basically come up with that ChatGPT can cause to human society. Number 1, it's its bias. You can't be that dumb to think it's its own entity and it's thinking by itself based on all the answers it's picking up and all the online content that it's picking up. It's making its own answer based on what's fair. You can't think that way because it's controlled by a company. It has bias, and we're seeing it right now, perfectly clear. Prime example: go ask it, make me a poem about Joe Biden. It gives you a beautiful poem about Joe Biden. Go ask it to make a poem about Donald Trump. It considers it already a discriminatory name, and it doesn't give you a poem because it's not allowed to. So off the bat, if 4 or 5 months in, we're seeing that, isn't it scary to think what can be done in the future, how much bias it can create? Which leads me to point number 2. Risk number 2 is misinformation. Right now, I believe that everybody is suffering from this. We don't know what's real or what's not. We don't know what's better, to be misinformed or uninformed. You're misinformed right now. You don't know what's really going on. You're uninformed. You feel lost. And that's a big thing. You got to be able to trust your media, your government. And this is going to be the future media. You're going to be asking this ChatGPT or this next artificial intelligence all the questions in the near future because all the big companies are going to implement it, right? So misinformation is key. Bias is key. Who's controlling these machines? Who's training these machines? Number 3, privacy and security. I mean, if you don't know right now that your information and your data is getting sold everywhere, then you know now. It is. I buy data every single month. Every single month I buy data. And it's very accessible because all these companies don't really protect your information. And most of the time they're selling it. And now we're seeing clouds getting hacked and getting all the information taken out of them. So is this AI, is this cloud that's being formed by companies, is it going to be secure? Is it going to be private? Is your information going to be safe, or is it going to be available to anybody and everybody? So number 1, it's bias, misinformations, privacy and security. Number 4, misuse. And I think this is a big thing. We're going to have to set up standards with these machines where it's not misused. And what do I mean by that? You don't want a crazy person, somebody that's not fully there, to start asking these things how to make weapons, how to make bombs, how to kill people, how to hide a body, because it will give you a perfect answer. So misuse is a big thing. How is it being used? Let's build parameters around what can be done and what can't be done. This machine is very powerful, and it's only going to get more powerful. So parameters are huge, very huge. Number 5, and another one that's really big in my opinion, is dependency. So if you go back 30, 40, 50 years, we were never dependent on this thing, ever, ever, or a computer. We're depending on talking to one another, maybe reading the newspaper, listening to the radio, but we weren't tied like we are right now in society to our technology, spending 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day using these machines. And now with this this machine that makes it so simple to get any answer you want, even to the point you tell it to write you an email, it will write it for you. People are going to depend a lot on it, which in turn, it's going to create dependency, and it's going to not help people with critical thinking, which is already a big problem right now. People can't properly critically think about certain situations. What they do is they go follow their favorite influencer, or they listen to the news or some sort of media where there's a lot of misinformation already, and they base their opinion off that. And now we have this machine that a lot of people don't know who controls it or who runs it or who trained it, and they see it as this godlike thing that gives it all the answers in the world, and they're going to base what they feel confident about on the answers of these machines. So dependency is something that's extremely key on the problems that this AI can bring. And well, it's coming. It's just you got to learn how to not depend on it. Lastly, lack of character, lack of personalization. And what do I mean by that? As these machines start growing, and let's say somebody's born today, they're going to be much different as a person than me or you, because they're growing with this technology, right? And these technologies form character. If everybody in your group of friends is talking about ChatGPT and believing and going based on everything it tells you, you're going to do that too. It's just group thinking. It's kind of how it is. Group thinking is a big thing. We've experienced it over the last 2 years, how a lot of people fall for bullshit because of group thinking. So I think kids are in jeopardy big time if they don't develop critical thinking. I think the schooling system has to change and not let these machines of AI help them, or not let them depend on them. I still believe they got to go through books. They got to find their own answers, not just ask this machine. Because if that's the case, we're just going to have robots in the future that all you got to do is ask this thing a question, and then you spit out the answers that the machine's giving you. That's being a robot. If you can't critically think, if you can't personally look at the answers it's giving you and be like, hey, that might be wrong based on what I think, then you're just a robot. And that's what I mean by the risk of lack of character, really. So these 7 risks, it's here to stay, and they're going to come, but we got to find a way to avoid them. Yes, there's a lot of pros with AI, and I think there's a lot of magnificent things that are going to come our way, with climate change, with health specifically. I think there's going to be a lot of breakthroughs with health, and saving yourself money and time. But with that said, it also does come with risks. One big risk too, the main risk a lot of people are talking about that I didn't put in my risks because I don't firmly believe about that too much. It's job replacement. Sure, it's going to replace a lot of jobs, but everybody said that about the internet too. A new industry, yes, it might replace a certain jobs, but it's also going to create new jobs and new opportunities and new fields to create and work on. Prime example, the internet. It's going to replace all the jobs in the world. Look what happened. Shopify was built. Amazon was built online. And look at all the employees they have. And look at all the new jobs that were created from this technology. So let's not focus on the job replacement part, because jobs will come. And this technology is going to create new opportunities and new fields. I believe the 7 risks I just spoke about are the ones to look out for, specifically bias and misinformation, because that's everything. If we're dependent on the government, on media to know what's going on, and it's lying to us, then we're in big trouble, right? And we also got to know who's involved with these machines. Prime example, ChatGPT, Microsoft is going to have a stake with them. Who runs Microsoft? Bill Gates. I don't know about you, but I don't trust Bill Gates at all. That guy's been lying out of his teeth this whole time. Everything he's invested in is a problem with society right now. So look into it. Look into it. Let's build this machine correctly. Let's not let it control us. Let's control it so we could all have a beneficial future and a beautiful future. Because if not, it's looking pretty bleak if we start letting these machines take over and control our lives. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this show. Please share the show if you enjoyed it, if you learned something new. These are the risks of AI, in my opinion. If you have any other risks, shoot it my way and we'll talk about it. I love talking about these topics. I've been studying about AI a lot over the last couple months. I think it's the future and you got to know it. Whoever knows it and learns it right now is going to benefit immensely. That said, thank you for catching the show again. I'll be back next week and see you next time.